The Houston Rockets have won 3 games in a row for the first time since I don't even know when. So we're gonna dive into that right now. You're gonna really enjoy this episode of the Brad and Will Show. You don't want to miss it.
All right, and welcome back to the episode of the Bradeaux and Will Show. I'm your first host, as always, Will. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all social media platforms at Bias Houston over there. We cover the Houston Rockets, dabbling a little bit of Houston Texans now. But for sure, the bread and butter, Twitter for us right now is the post game spaces. So if you want to tap in with us over there, it'd be dope. And then we're live casting the Rockets games now throughout the week on the PSF app. The link is in my bio to join if you're trying to join up, watch along with us. The stage is open mic, so if you're watching the game, you want to talk about with some Rockets fans while you watch, that's the place to do it at. But with that, I'll pass it off to Brad.
Yeah, as always, y'all know where to find me at Bradeaux NBA on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all that good stuff. On Twitter, of course, got your favorite stats, highlights, all that good stuff. And as Will said, we're going to be on PSF now, live streaming the games. Really fun, exciting experience. If you guys want to tap in and watch the games with us, you're always welcome to do so. But yeah, we're going to dive into this Rockets winning streak. They won 3 in a row. They beat the Kings twice, and they beat Charlotte first on this 3-game homestand after starting 0-3. And this is actually our first pod of this new season. So we're going to talk about really quickly, the vibe of those first 3 games and how they're doing now, and then some things that have stood out to us in this Rockets winning streak. So we'll kick it off to Will. First 3 games they obviously lost, and now they've won 3 in a row. So where did you stand then, versus now, before and after the winning streak?
I wasn't I was disappointed, but I wasn't moved. 3 games is too small of a sample size to um, change how you feel. Preseason. I think that if anybody majorly adjusted their expectations for the season off of 3 games, I mean, maybe you were right, but I don't know. I guess you didn't believe that much in your preseason predictions that much if 3 games is all it takes for you to move off of them. The Orlando Magic game, unacceptable. There's really no way to like sugarcoat it or try to belittle it. We got kicked, lost by 30. That should never happen, let alone to a team who we should be eye to eye with. It wasn't like we lost to the Nuggets. We got beat by a team that like I said, the Rockets are. I think the Magic and the Rockets can definitely be play in lower tier playoff teams. So you never want to lose by 30 to a team like that. I thought the Spurs L was a win. I thought that we won that game. If we made a free throw, we had 2 free throws from Jabari Smith late in the game to kind of ice the game for the most part. And then we had an open three by Jabari Smith to kind of ice the game. We missed both of them. Wimby didn't even have that good of a game. So when the star player team has an off night and I forgot how much we were up by a couple seconds left. I do think the officiating was pretty bad that game, but that's a game that you should have won if we just make our free throws. I believe we were like 50% from the free throw line in that game, which is unacceptable. But despite that, we still, like I said, we're in prime position to win the game. We just didn't do it. So that's an L that's going to haunt me for a minute now because I think we should have definitely won that one. But then Golden State, I mean, obviously you want to beat the Warriors every time you play them, no matter what. Especially this season where we're trying to get in the win column. There's such a thing as a night that we don't want to win anymore. You want to win that game, but I'll be honest with you, man. Like we competed with them into the final buzzer. We lost because Steph Curry is a great basketball player. I know that I don't like the guy, but we can be honest. He's a top 5 player in the league right now, and he has the ability to be the best player on the floor, no matter who's out there on any given night. So
Definitely.
if he goes supernova on you in the fourth quarter, like the way Steph, I think he like 4 threes on us in like the last like 6-7 minutes. I mean, not much you can do about that. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just the ball game. They're I believe they've only lost 1 game this season as of this recording. So
Yeah, six and
yeah,
one.
good team led by a great player. I mean, those are the type of games that we're probably gonna lose this season, right? So I think if you contextualize those 3 L's that way, with the Magic one, no explanation. But that Spurs L should have been a dub. Just got away from us the last second, and I mean, we lost to the better team against the Warriors. I mean, obviously you don't start the season 0-3 at all. And Jabari and Jalen, definitely struggled mightily to those 3 games. I think a lot of the reasons we lost those 3 games was on Jalen and Jabari. But we can talk about how they kind of bounced back in these last 3 games. But yeah, like I said, those are the first 3 games.
Yeah, man. First 3 games again. I wasn't. I mean, they started that first game off very, very slow, but they were within 3 points in the last 16 minutes, and they ended up getting blown out. Yeah, obviously, as Will said, unacceptable. In that game against the Spurs, as we mentioned, they beat themselves. They went 10 to 20 from the free throw line. Jabari had a rough stretch to close, missing some free throws to ice the game. Then obviously, what happened in overtime? They gave the game away. They had it won in regulation. As for Golden State, again, Steph masterclass is Steph masterclass. Ain't much you can do about it. But I'm more so impressed that they're able to come back from 16 and go up 2 in the final stretch of the game, take an 87-85 lead. That was what made me ultimately confident going into this next stretch of games. I thought they improved upon the first game by almost beating the Spurs and then putting up a good fight against a Golden State team that's really good. So I figured, hey, going into Charlotte, going into 2 games without De'Aaron Fox, because before the Rockets even played the Hornets, it was predicted that De'Aaron Fox was going to miss those 2 games. I was thinking, hey, this team can mess around and be 500, but I got to see something first in the Charlotte game. And going into that Charlotte game, they played really good basketball, making a lot of the extra passes. Dillon Brooks playing amazing basketball in that Hornets game. He went crazy. Dillon, he's been perfect. No, he's been perfect. He's helped this team a lot. Fred came on that game and played really good as well. Um, yeah, just everybody on this Rockets team has been looking a lot better. Ime Udoka is coaching this team extremely well. And I just want to talk on Will. I mean, we were going to discuss some things that stood out to us. Obviously, most people are going to say Dillon Brooks. I'll say Dillon Brooks, Şengün, and then the Rockets making the extra pass. I'll focus on the extra pass. That's one thing Ime Udoka specialized with when he was coaching the Boston Celtics. He brought them from the 26th ranked team in the NBA to the second ranked team in the NBA when it came to secondary assists. That's a hockey assist if you don't know. These Houston Rockets last year were ranked 27th in the NBA in secondary assists. Now they're ranked third in the league in secondary assists. If you watch this team, they're not ISOing anymore. They're kicking it, kicking it, kicking it, and they're playing beautiful basketball. It's a totally different brand of basketball. It looks amazing out there. So I've really enjoyed what I'm watching. Obviously, Dillon is playing way above his contract at the moment. He's getting paid, 21.5 a year, and he's obviously outplaying that contract. So Dillon, it's insane what he's been able to do. So yeah, and then Fred, he's been diming the ball. Before this last game, he was averaging 8.8 assists on only 2 turnovers a night. And when you have 2 elite distributors, with Şengün averaging 7 assists now with less than 2 turnovers, that's a good brand of basketball. You have a good coach who knows how to have players share the ball, and you have 2 players who are really good at creating. And so that's a good formula for success as well. And then lastly, I'll mention the defense. These last 2 games they've only given up 188 points. They've only done that. And the last time they did that was in 2019. 2019, a whole 4 seasons of Rockets basketball. So this is the best defense we've seen since the Harden era. The most passing we've seen since the Harden era. But this is really good basketball. Hoping they can build on it. They got the Lakers next, and then the Pelicans right after that. But Will, what would you say some things that have stood out to you?
First and foremost, Dillon Brooks. I openly did not want him on the podcast. Didn't want him on TL. Didn't want him in the spaces. I was turned off by his performances in Memphis, especially like when it mattered the most in the playoffs. Some of the things that he said in the media about wanting a larger role and not being used properly kind of concerned me. And just overall efficiency on a team that was extremely inefficient last year. I was just like, I don't think he's a right fit for us at all. I'll be the first to admit it. I said it on TL, said it in spaces. I'll say on the podcast. No, I was wrong. I don't like to overreact to small sample sizes. But I feel like at this point I kind of have to, right? Like he's been like so much clear of the opposite of what I thought he was going to be when we signed him. That like I think I said when I know I said that it was an overpay of a contract. I mean, right now it's looking like an underpay, man. Like it's looking like he could get a lot more than what we paid him. He's been extremely efficient. That's the first thing. I think a lot of what Dillon Brooks has shown us, I don't think even the biggest Dillon Brooks fan could have predicted. Like he's playing out of his mind, out of his body. I think he's behind Alperen Sengun. He's been the best, the most consistent player on the team. Like I said, he's been efficient. When he's open, he's making his shots. He's not playing like one of my biggest concerns with him was he going to try to play out of his role? You know, he was somebody who struggled to play a role next to Ja and JJJ in Memphis. So it's like, okay, is he going to come to Houston and play a role for Jalen and Şengün? And like, he's done that, bro. Like, I think he's only averaging. I mean, I'll look it up real quick. I want to say he's only averaging somewhere around 10 shots a game, which would be I think, I don't know if it's a career low exactly, but I do know that it would be one of the lowest of his career. I'm looking at it right now. He's taken 10.6 shots, would be the lowest he's taken since 2019. So yeah, like and it's one of those things too where it's like I kind of wouldn't mind if he took more. Like that's the crazy part is like someone who was very concerned about him trying to Dillon Brooks trying to assert himself too much and do too much. I find myself kind of wishing he would do more at times because he's been great every time the ball's been in his hands. And then that's not even accounting for the defense that even like I said, even me, someone who didn't want Dillon Brooks on the team, I knew he was going to come in and be a dog defensively, and he's been nothing short of that. But people clowned him because Steph, had that one possession on him. But if you go look at like the possessions where Dillon Brooks was guarding Steph didn't cook him, but that one time, that was it. Dillon stayed very solid, played as good a defense I think anyone could humanly play against a player like Steph Curry. And I mean, at the end of that's all you can ask for. So Dillon Brooks is the first in the sense of me for 100%. I'll say it again. I was wrong on him. And I've been very encouraged by his play. Alperen Sengun, not surprised at all by what he's doing.
Can't be.
That's
Yeah.
that's the that's the one guy who hasn't like surprised me in the least bit. Matter of fact, dare I say, I think he can be better than what he's doing right now. Like I think this is just kind of the start for Şengün. I think that he's gonna tap into a whole other level by the end of the season. He's been phenomenal, especially like compared to his peers in the 2021 draft class. I think that only Scotty Barnes has an argument through these first 6 games
I agree.
to have a better, third season. I think Şengün has clearly been ahead of everybody else. Um, the defensive concerns not there at all. I'm not gonna say he's a great defender. I think he has moments where he is great defensively. But what I will say is I think at worst he's a neutral. Like I definitely don't think he's a liability at all anymore. His offense has been. I mean, he's still every. Matter of fact, I think, like I said, I think one of the areas he's going to tap into more is I think he can be even more of a bucket than what he is right now. And he's already really good. But what he's doing really well now, what I love about Udoka is allowing him to be the hub of this team and allowing him to spread his wings offensively when it comes to distributing the basketball. And I mean, we saw that tonight. He had, I think, what 9 assists in the first half, something like that.
He had 9 assists in the first
Nine
half.
assists in the first half.
Yeah.
Lord have mercy. We had Bruno Fernandez start on this guy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is we knew he could do this. Like, these are things that we knew Şengün could do. So, like I said, I'm not surprised at all. I'm just very encouraged, and I want to make sure I pat him on the back for like stepping up. This is what you see from your budding star in his third season in the NBA. Like I said, I think there's a whole level he can tap into. So I'm really impressed with what I'm seeing from him. And the last person I'll highlight in terms of like who's really impressed me, Jabari Smith. He had a really, 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 really rough game 1, game 2, in like the first half of game 3. It was bad. It was, he was struggling to hit the open shots. He was getting, really couldn't ask him to be a good defender either. He was getting beat no matter where you put him, whether it was, POA or asking him to, stay back and drop. Like, no matter where you use Jabari, he was getting beat. There's some possessions where he wasn't boxing out. And, we saw Fred kind of like lit him up one possession. He didn't box out, and it led to an open shot. And Fred was like, bro, you can't do that. So it was terrible. His first 1 and 2 game where it was like, man, like, I'm not going to overreact to a small sample size, but if he can't turn it around, like Tari Eason comes back, that might got to be his job, But these last, like I said, 2.5 games, Jabari Smith has completely flipped the script. It's been a tale of 2 halves for Jabari. This latter half, he's gotten his efficiency back up. He's shooting, I want to say like 38.2% from 3 on 5.7 attempts, which is essentially 6 attempts on 38%. That's what we wanted. Like, I mean, if you can give us that, especially considering where he started last season, and build from that foundation, that's what he wanted. I mean, he's playing within the flow of the offense. He's getting the little things down a lot more. I'm seeing more box out. The defense is obviously still a work in progress, but I can work with that. I can work with him still learning how to be that all around defensive utility belt that we thought we were getting. As long as he's able to contribute in other ways, which so far he's able to do. So like I said, shout out to Jabari Smith for kind of flipping the script um, on his name. The last thing I did want to say, and I think I'll be done for this episode, at least for now, um, is Jalen Green. I think that he's one of the most controversial topics on Rockets Twitter right now because um, we can be honest and say that he struggled um, to start the season. I don't think this is obviously the start of the season that he would want to have. And instead of the start of the season that I think a lot of us expected him to have. Um, and I think that the way he's playing right now, I'm not concerned. Let me go make that very clear. Like I said, I think that anybody who's jumping ship off of Jalen Green or anybody on this team through 6 games, I mean, you're asking to get ratioed in 3 weeks, right? Because like that's not a good sample size at all. But what I will say is that I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna encourage people at home to do it as well. I'm gonna start holding Jalen to some standards, man. Like I'm not gonna the nights where he goes out there and looks uninterested and inefficient and you know what I'm saying? I don't think he plays defense and passes well enough to where we can justify him getting 30 plus minutes a night if he's not going to be efficient, right? Like he's no disrespect to him at all, but like we drafted Jalen to be a good scorer. And I'm not saying he has to be, because I know people are saying, well, be patient, but I'm not saying he has to be 25, 5-5 from game one. But I do want you to make your layups. I do want you to make your free throws. I do want you to be aggressive, right? I'm not saying get the ball hog, but you know what I'm saying? I want you to assert yourself into the game at times, right? Like I'm watching Dillon Brooks do it. I'm watching Jabari do it. So I know Jalen can do it, right? If Dillon Brooks and Jabari Smith is low in totem pole offensively as we all want them to be, can do it. I know Jalen can. So I don't think that that's unrealistic or unreasonable expectations for Jalen to just be aggressive and do the little things from the rip. And we saw him do that tonight. Like my thing with Jalen is if you're not, because I understand we're trying to play more of a team-centered basketball. I'm fine with that. If you're gonna take a low volume of shots, like be efficient in those low volume, right? And he was that. He got to the free throw line tonight. He was aggressive. He didn't settle. He was putting his head down, getting to the line because he got to the free throw line. He took and made threes tonight. He played well within the flow of the offense, and I don't think I want to say like what's it, 21, 23 points tonight. Was on crazy efficiency. I'm not saying that he needs to be because I want to say efficiency was like 80 true shooting. It don't got to be
Yeah,
that.
it's 80.5.
It don't got to be 80.5 true shooting every night, but the mentality he brought to the game tonight, the way he like I said he did the little things. He didn't do nothing crazy. This isn't a Jalen Green masterclass. Like no one's gonna look back at this game and be like, yeah, man, that was like the statement Jalen game. This is just a good game for Jalen, and I think that tonight is what we should expect from him every single night. Like I said, not necessarily saying 80 true shooting, but just his approach, the way he was able to impact the game as a scorer, first and foremost. Like I think that should be the expectation, especially for him in year 3. Like I understand that he didn't have the most optimal year 1, year 2, but I mean neither did Şengün. So I think this should be the expectation for Jalen, like to build from his performance. And like I said, I believe I still have all my stock in Jalen. I think he's going to be a superstar in this league, and so I'm going to hold him to those standards as someone who I believe can one day be a superstar. So that, like I said, that means making free throws, making layups, looking involved, being aggressive, and he did that tonight. So no more. Like this is the year of no excuses for me. I'm not giving Jalen any excuses for that. So yeah, like I said, I love what I saw from Jalen tonight.
Yeah. Last thing I'll do, I want to bring in a few stats to close the episode on my behalf. I feel like one of the bigger developments as well this season, as Will mentioned, Şengün has been playing some solid defense as well. If you want to look specifically into it, it's probably better even after tonight's game. But going before tonight's game, if you want to look at his field goal percentage when he's guarding players, his rookie year it was 51%. Guys were scoring at a 1% clip against him. Last season was 50.4. And this season, it dipped all the way down to 43.4, which is way better. And he's actually holding the people he's guarding to a negative 5.1 field goal percentage so far, which is extremely good for Alperen Sengun. Again, what he does on offense, If he's able to be anything, like as a anything that's not negative defensively, then he's out there doing really good work. So for him to be a positive, it is amazing out there. And then the way he started this year, he's averaging 18.1 points. He's averaging 8.5 rebounds and 7 assists. Only other center to do that in the first 7 games of a season is literally Nikola Jokic, who's done it 4 times. But Şengün is the only other person to do that. So he's in elite company. He's playing good defense, and he's only going to build on top of that. So those would be the last 2 things I would say. Again, actually, no, I lied. The Rockets haven't had Tari Eason yet. Will tell you right now, this is a team that is most likely 4-2 with Tari Eason. Maybe 5-1, but 4-2 for sure with Tari Eason. They might get him back against the Lakers, so we'll see. And this is gonna be a way better team with Tari Eason. He was terrorizing everyone last season defensively. Looked really good in the preseason, and I don't expect that to change in the regular season. So, yeah, I'm excited. We'll get Tari back. Hopefully, Alvin comes back, before the new year. But I like what I see from this Rockets team, and they can only build on it. But that's all I got for this episode. You all good, Will? Yep. As always, we appreciate y'all for tapping in. This was a quick episode, 21 minutes. We're happy to see these guys at 500. If they win the next game, it'll be the first time they're above 500 in 1,000 days. Literally, it'll be 1,005 days. Will first time they're above 500 if they beat the Lakers. So we'll see if they do it.
I'm
But again, as
confident.
always, you confident? Yeah, yeah. They usually play the Lakers really well. And I think AD is hurt,
I
if I'm not
believe so.
mistaken. Yeah, so your boy Christian Wood gonna get worked out there, but we'll pray for him. We'll pray for him. But yeah, man, we appreciate y'all for tapping in, and we'll be back.